Hello, I'm Simon Whistler, you're watching TopTenzNet, and in the video today, the top 10 fascinating but ultimately pointless studies. At this very moment, there are likely countless men and women standing in immaculate white lab coats, staring at beakers filled with various kinds of liquids, discovering the secrets of our world. Many of these researchers, scientists, and academics will likely learn amazing things about the human body, about nature and the animal kingdom, but that's actually pretty boring. So instead, in the video today, we're looking at 10 actual, real studies that discovered fascinating things that are ultimately kinda pointless. And we'll start with Number 10. A study concluding denim jeans never need to be washed. The study. A guy named Josh Lee wore a pair of denim jeans for 15 months straight. In that time, he intentionally spilled food on them, let them get wet when it rained, and even spent a month sleeping in them. When swabbed, the jeans showed normal levels of bacteria compared to a pair worn for a few days, suggesting that they never really need to be washed. So why is it fascinating? Along with showing that we probably wash all of our clothes too much, it shows that after a certain period of time, the bacteria your body produces will never be produced in high enough quantities to harm you, meaning you could technically wear your favorite pair of jeans forever. Why is it pointless? We kind of already knew this. From the moment they were invented, denim jeans were never really intended to be washed or cleaned. They were designed for workmen and laborers. Even Levi's, the most famous company to make the garment, have come out and said that washing them is a waste of water because they're naturally hard-wearing anyway. So all this study really did was confirm something that we all definitely already know. Storing jeans on your floor and wearing them every day for a week is totally okay. Number 9. Guy cracks knuckles on one hand every day for 50 years to prove that it's not dangerous. The study. Over the course of 50 years, curious academic and possible hero Donald Unger cracked the knuckles on his left hand and only his left hand twice a day, every day, to see if it would result in them developing any kind of problems compared to his right hand, which he never cracked the knuckles on. And, well, it didn't, which conclusively proved that doing it won't increase your risk of getting arthritis. So why is it fascinating? Well, along with being one of the single longest studies ever undertaken, the study represents an impressive, almost superhuman effort on behalf of Unger to prove someone wrong. In this case, it was Unger's mother who warned him that cracking his knuckles like he was about to beat down a Japanese mob boss would cause him problems later in his life. So why is it pointless? The study only involved a single participant, Donald Unger, making it effectively worthless from an academic standpoint. Indeed, the only control group he had was his right hand. But let's just be clear here, knuckle cracking isn't thought to have any lasting effect, though few actual formal studies have concluded this, so we don't actually know for sure. Number 8. Cats can recognize human voices. The study. Researchers working in the University of Tokyo found that cats can seemingly distinguish between the voices of strangers and those of their owner, suggesting that they possess the ability to recognize individual vocalizations in another species, which is a rare skill for an animal. So why is it fascinating? Well, this study shows that cats, like dogs, are capable of recognizing their owner and understanding the power dynamic between themselves and the person who can make it rain food on a whim. So why is it pointless? Well, cats, they just don't care. The study showed that while cats can recognize the voice of their owner, they don't react to it any differently than the voice of a total stranger. This is because, unlike dogs, which were bred to be obedient to humans, cats basically domesticated themselves because making us feed them is easier than hunting. Number 7. Shorter men have, well, just a bad time overall. The studies. Many studies conducted over the years have shown that for whatever reason, shorter men earn less, die earlier, are less attractive to women, and according to some studies, report having smaller wangs than their taller peers. All in all, shorter men get shafted in nearly every area of life. So why is it fascinating? Studies like these highlight the bizarre prejudices some people can face for things that they quite literally have zero control over. Studies about pay differences are especially telling, as even if you discount every other factor and only look at people's DNA, men predisposed to being shorter genetically earn less overall across the board. Less formal studies of things like online dating profiles are also telling, as they show that short men are almost immediately discounted by women simply because they are short. So why is it pointless? These studies don't really do all that much to fix the issues and instead merely point out that they exist. It also does not help that many of the places that report on these studies, that remember highlight a severe imbalance in how people of equal skill and ability are discredited because of an inherited genetic trait, make light of the results, usually with stupid pun headlines. It's kind of difficult to take this kind of issue seriously when places report on it with titles like "Short Man Syndrome is not just a tall story. Ha ha ha." Number 6. Lauda monkeys have smaller testicles. The study. A comprehensive study of the testicles of male howler monkeys found that the louder the monkey could scream, the smaller its fuzzy monkey balls tended to be. Why is it fascinating? The study shows that when it comes to evolution, some male species have deliberately limited their ability to reproduce effectively to instead seem more virile and ward off competing males. It highlights an interesting catch-22 in the animal kingdom. Is it more useful to attract females and only be able to breed with a few of them than to be able to breed with all of them but struggle to attract any in the first place? So why is it pointless? The study itself is fascinating from an evolutionary standpoint and shows how animals today are still adapting along diverging but parallel paths to dominate their environment. However, many places online have tried to use the results to suggest that the loudest monkeys are compensating for their microballs. Reading between the lines, you can see that this is an attempt to make a comparison to loud, brash human men who are often accused of compensating for a smaller penis. This muddies the waters of the study because the monkeys aren't compensating for anything, their bodies are simply more adapted to scream louder than other males. This is an adaptation that just so happens to result in them having smaller nuts because there is only so much energy a species can invest in itself. Number 5. Teaspoons have a half-life. The study. In 2005, a bunch of British researchers attempted to answer a question that has been screamed into the void by British office workers more than insults about their boss. Where have all the bloody teaspoons gone? For the Americans watching this video, this is a constant problem faced by the British workforce, and for some reason teaspoons, more than any other piece of cutlery, seem to go walkies all the damn time. The study found that teaspoons do have a half-life, and that to maintain a constant supply of 70 teaspoons for an office, you'd have to buy, on average, 250 teaspoons every single year due to the rate that they disappear into the ether. So why is it fascinating? Disappearing teaspoons is an oft-discussed phenomenon in the UK, and it's estimated that some 600,000 or so disappear without a trace every single year. So it's interesting to see that this isn't just a joke used by hackneyed comedians, but a readily observed phenomenon that has been studied by actual real-life researchers. So why is it pointless? Well, we still don't know where all the teaspoons go. Explanations for this range from them simply being stolen or lost, which doesn't really make sense given the vast quantities of them that go missing each year, to there only being a finite number of teaspoons in existence. Number 4. North Korea is the second happiest country in the world, according to North Korea. The study. In 2011, eggheads working in North Korea discovered that out of every single country on Earth, their tiny nation was, for some reason, the second happiest place on the planet. Of course, this position in second place ranks it hundreds of places above South Korea, finally proving that North Korea is indeed the best Korea, and it's also ranked above the American Empire, which was ranked dead last in terms of the happiness of its citizens. So why is it fascinating? North Korea is a pretty strange country that produces more than its fair share of propaganda, most of which centers around the fact that North Korea is the coolest and the strongest country in the world. This makes it quite interesting that a piece of official propaganda would ever suggest North Korea is second best at anything, let alone taking care of its citizens. However, for some reason the North Korean government did exactly this with this study, admitting that Chinese citizens were happier than their own. So why is it pointless? Well, you can probably guess that this study is pure propaganda, so it has no value beyond being an amusing anecdote about a country that could potentially one day destroy the world in a nuclear holocaust. Well, isn't that neat? Number 3. 250 out of 250 polled children found clowns scary. The study. A poll of children aged 4 to 16 in a hospital in Sheffield, England, found that every single one either disliked clowns or was actively afraid of them. So why is it fascinating? It should be noted that this study was specifically about improving the decor of children's wards in hospitals to make them more welcoming and less frightening to kids and young adults, and that clowns were a very popular choice when designing the aesthetic of such places. This study then, in effect, showed that designing children's wards in this way was actively making hospitals even scarier to children who were already dealing with being hospitalized by injury or illness. Children of all ages were shown to universally dislike clowns and other clown-related imagery, which becomes kind of hilarious when you realize that the study also showed that adults felt large pictures of clowns would be soothing for young children. Why it's pointless. This study, it was conducted in 2008, and clowns have not been thought of as funny for decades. Nearly every image of a clown from pop culture since the 1980s has played up the fact that people find them frightening. So how on earth did it take until 2008 for hospitals to realize that kids don't actually like them? Everyone knows that clowns are scary. Even McDonald's, a company literally fronted by a clown, has downplayed the prominence of their mascot in recent years for this very reason. Number 2. Guinness tastes better in Ireland. The study. In 2011, a team of researchers from the Institute of Food Technologists sampled pints of Guinness in 14 countries around the world over the course of a year and found that by a wide margin it tastes much better in Ireland. This is something that Irish people around the world have been saying for years, but it was probably nice for them to get hard evidence that supports the claim. Why it's fascinating. The study found that Guinness tastes better in Ireland even when factors such as pub ambience and Guinness appearance were discounted, meaning that a badly poured pint of Guinness in a dingy Irish pub tastes better than an immaculately poured one in a high-end bar anywhere else on earth. According to researchers, the reason why is because Guinness is fresher in Ireland due to the fact that the main brewery is located in the country. Why is it pointless? Although it's nice to know there's a scientific reason for Guinness tasting better on the Emerald Isle, it doesn't really matter because even if there wasn't, Irish people would still insist that it tastes better in Ireland anyway. As others have also noted, there's a certain psychological element that comes into play with drinking a Guinness in Ireland, so even if it didn't technically taste better, the placebo effect of drinking a famously Irish drink in an actual Irish pub would likely make it taste better regardless. Number 1. Venting online just makes you angrier. The studies. Numerous studies conducted over the last decade or so have found that there's no real benefit to venting your anger online and that doing so might actually make you more angry. One study in 2013, for example, found that watching angry rants, something that would normally be thought of as a cathartic exercise, is actually just making people feel worse. So why is it fascinating? The idea of venting anger to blow off steam and make oneself feel better is an incredibly popular thing, and it's interesting that there is literally no piece of research to support that it does anything other than make you feel worse. In fact, a review of half a century of empirical research into anger management simply concluded that there is no evidence whatsoever that venting has any positive effect on a person's emotional well-being and invariably makes them even angrier. In short, writing angry tweets, comments, and blog posts is actively making the world a worse place and has a negative impact on the net happiness of the person writing them. So why is it pointless? Well, I mean, is it really going to make a difference? Do you think that 5 decades of research saying venting anger has no constructive use is going to stop people from screaming at each other in the comment section below? So I really hope you found that video interesting. If you did not, please do leave an angry comment below. And as always, check out some of our videos from the archives over there on the right. And as always, thank you for watching.